Looking at this map of the Royaume de Grand Mughal, we see the Mughal Empire at its absolute peak in the late 17th century. Under Emperor Aurangzeb, this massive domain stretched all the way from Kabul in the north to Bengal in the east. Aurangzeb sought total extraction. His ultimate ambition was absolute territorial control, the funneling of all local resources into the imperial treasury, and the strict religious homogenization of the Indian subcontinent. But in the western Deccan Plateau, a localized rebellion was taking root that directly threatened that imperial vision, the Maratha Confederacy. Shivaji Maharaj had united these regional fighters under a completely opposing ideology, known as Hindavi Swarajya, or self-rule. When Shivaji died suddenly in April 1680, the Maratha state was immediately plunged into a succession crisis. Plots formed in the shadows to sideline his eldest son, Sambhaji. Even Sambhaji's own stepmother, Soyarabai, actively conspired to imprison him and place her 10-year-old son on the throne instead. Aurangzeb saw a fractured enemy. Recognizing this severe vulnerability, he left his northern capital and personally marched his massive army south, fully intending to crush the Deccan once and for all. Every external observer expected the Maratha state to collapse within months. Instead, Sambhaji seized control and orchestrated a 9-year resistance that halted the Mughal imperial machine. To understand how he survived, we have to look at how he governed. Aurangzeb ran a state built for perpetual war. He imposed the jizya, a tax on non-Muslims, to drain local wealth and fund his endless military campaigns. Sambhaji took the opposite approach. Even while actively defending his borders from Mughal invasion, he prioritized the economic welfare of the citizens inside them. During severe droughts, his administration provided seed grains directly to farmers. They issued tax exemptions and distributed oxen to ensure agricultural work didn't grind to a halt. He also maintained his father's Ashta Pradhan, a council of 8 ministers. This system delegated power across distinct roles, like a finance minister managing the treasury and an interior minister handling intelligence. Because power was not entirely centralized in a single person, the Maratha state could still function, collect taxes, and supply its armies even when Sambhaji himself was isolated or trapped under siege. The ultimate test of this resilience came in 1682 at the Siege of Ramsech. Aurangzeb intended to capture this open-land fort quickly to boost the morale of his advancing troops. Barely 600 Maratha defenders were stationed inside the fort, surrounded by a highly equipped Mughal army of 40,000 elite troops. Lacking iron cannons, they wrapped heavy timber in animal skin to create lethal wooden cannons. As the siege dragged on, Mughal casualties steadily climbed. Whenever the Mughal artillery managed to breach the stone walls during the day, the 600 defenders rebuilt the destroyed sections overnight. The Mughal commanders literally believed the Marathas were using dark magic. A siege that was supposed to last a few hours stretched into 6.5 years of humiliation. Sambhaji's forces continuously snuck supplies through the Mughal lines, using guerrilla tactics, keeping Ramsech armed and fed. Off the battlefield, Sambhaji played high-level diplomatic chess. In 1681, he granted asylum to Aurangzeb's own rebellious son, Prince Akbar. This was a calculated strike. By harboring a royal fugitive, Sambhaji attempted to fracture Mughal authority from the inside out and force Aurangzeb to divert massive resources toward tracking his son. But while Sambhaji brilliantly countered the Mughals externally, his own court was plagued by internal rot. High-ranking ministers and powerful factions like the Shirke family actively plotted his downfall. In early 1689, those internal factions finally succeeded where the entire Mughal army had failed. Local informants betrayed Sambhaji's location to the Mughals. While he was stationed at Sangameshwar, 2,000 Mughal cavalry ambushed him before his guards could react. Sambhaji was captured, bound in heavy chains, and forced to wear clown's clothing as he was paraded into Aurangzeb's camp to be humiliated in front of the Mughal court. Aurangzeb offered to spare his life on 4 conditions: surrender all Maratha forts, hand over the imperial treasury, name his Mughal collaborators, and convert to Islam. Sambhaji refused every single demand, delivering a total rejection of Aurangzeb's ideological conquest. For weeks, he was subjected to horrific torture. Finally, on March 11, 1689, he was publicly executed at Tulipur. Aurangzeb believed that a brutal, high-profile execution would terrify the Marathas into total submission. He miscalculated. Sambhaji's martyrdom earned him the title Dadamveer, acting as the ultimate unifier for the fractured Marathas. His execution sparked a fierce 25-year war of independence that bled the Mughal treasury dry and laid the groundwork for Maratha dominance across India. His greatest act of leadership was how he chose to die.